class, today's lesson is on S2 cells, and S2 cells are something I might have mentioned briefly in passing in the past on the channel, but recently a huge wave of new research on S2 cells and how they're used in Pokemon GO has just flooded the Silph Road, so there's a lot of new information to go over here. First of all, S2 cells are a way of mapping a 3D object like the Earth, a sphere, into a two-dimensional map, like we see on Google Maps or in Pokemon GO. So these S2 cells are essentially mapped onto the surface of the Earth and then extracted into a 2D map that's made up of different squares or different cells that come in different sizes. And we've figured out a lot of ways that Niantic uses these different S2 cells in Pokemon GO. So let me just start by explaining Region Coverer, which is a tool that's going to allow you to find different S2 cells for your area. So I'm looking right now at downtown Long Beach. You have the Pike down here, Shoreline Aquatic Park. The tip of that peninsula right there is where the lighthouse is. In the corner, you have tools. So this one obviously lets you move the map around. And then you can use the square, the circle, or the point to find S2 cells. So what we want to do, first of all, is just kind of drag a square. And this is going to show different S2 cells of different sizes. Now, you can determine what size S2 cells you want to see. So if you slide the minimum level to 10, the max level to 10, you're going to see only level 10 S2 cells, which are huge. So let's go to maybe a smaller size. How about 14? So those are level 14 S2 cells, and depending on where you're looking at on the map, closer or further to the equator, these cells might not be diagonal, they might be more straight across. It's just, you know, the way that 3D mapping into 2D space works. I don't fully understand it, but... So you can go level 14, you can go down to level 17. And you can see those are much smaller S2 cells. And all these different sizes, well, not all of them, a lot of these different size S2 cells determine different things in Pokemon GO. So let's take a look at that. This is a Silph Road thread. This is sort of a compilation of all the research that's been done recently. And I'm going to link to this and the Silph Road subreddit in the description. So if you're interested in this kind of research, this kind of technical way of looking at Pokemon GO, definitely go check out the Silph Road. There's a lot of people doing a lot of research over there. A lot of intelligent discussion of the game. So if you look at the list, you can see that there's things like level 6 cells. Those are going to be very large cells used for geo-blocking, for example, making the game unavailable in North Korea. Level 6 cells were used for the legendary beast distributions. Level 9 cells used for regionals. Level 10 cells are used for a Pokemon's caught location. So if we go back here and we go back to level 10 cells, you can see these cells are big, and that's why sometimes if you catch a Pokemon in a certain area, on its location tag, it'll say the name of a different city. So for example, my shiny Gyarados, which if you remember, I caught in Hawaii, and this is approximately where I caught it. This point on the map here, which was on the shore, but if you look now, it doesn't have a location. This is the level 10 S2 cell that I caught it in, and it looks like the majority of it, or at least the center of it, is in the water, which might explain why my Gyarados has no location, because the game classifies this as being caught sort of in the water. Now, going back to the list here, there are a couple different sizes that I want to focus on specifically, and those are level 12 cells, which possibly determine EX Raid distribution, level 14 cells, which are determining gym placement, level 17 cells, which determine Pokestop placement, and then level 20 cells, which determine potential spawn points and also whether or not a gym is technically located in a park. So we're sort of going to focus on gyms and which gyms can be EX Raid eligible. So starting with level 12 cells, this is some research on the Silph Road from a Redditor named AnniePM87 in Malaysia. And he found that during each EX Raid wave, no 2 EX Raid gyms were within the same level 12 S2 cell. So from the December 11th wave, he has a map here. This is Kuala Lumpur overlaid with level 12 S2 cells. And you can see each of the EX Raid gyms marked by pins are in their own unique level 12 S2 cell. There are some gyms that are close together, even within the same park, but they're still separated and in different cells. From the next wave of EX invites, again, every gym is in its own S2 cell. And again, for the 3rd week in a row, every gym is in its own S2 cell, its own level 12 S2 cell. The same goes for Singapore. This is a wave of EX Raid invites in Singapore. And speaking of Singapore, I know those videos are still coming, don't worry. But again, even though these two gyms on Sentosa are very close together, again, still in their own level 12 S2 cells. So looking at this map of downtown Long Beach overlaid with a level 12 S2 cell, essentially what that means is if there's one EX Raid gym inside this cell, no other gym in that cell is going to have an EX Raid that same week. And within Shoreline Aquatic Park at the Pike, there are actually 3 gyms that have already had EX Raids, some of them multiple times. Those are, one, the Lighthouse, obviously that's where mine is. This one right here, Yuri Matey. And then this one, which is the giant horse statue by PF Chang's. Now, looking through the Long Beach Facebook, Pokemon GO Facebook group, none of those gyms have ever had EX Raids the same week. So, I mean, that would just confirm the theory, or at least add extra evidence to it. Now, continuing on to smaller S2 cells, level 14 S2 cells. These apparently seem to be used for determining which portals in Ingress are going to be converted into gyms in Pokemon GO. So what the research is showing is that the number of Pokestops within a single level 14 S2 cell is going to determine how many of those Pokestops actually become gyms. So if there are none, obviously there's no gym. If there's only one Pokestop in the cell, then there's going to be no gyms. If there are 2 to 5 Pokestops within a single cell, then one of those will become a gym. If there are 6 to 19 Pokestops in a cell, 2 of those will become a gym. If there are 20 to 34 Pokestops in a single cell, 3 will become a gym. And if there are 35 or more in a single level 14 S2 cell, 4 will become a gym. So again, I have downtown Long Beach overlaid with level 14 S2 cells. So if we look at, first of all, some of the less populated ones, this one here, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4 Pokestops, 1 gym. So again, that's a total of 5, and one of those is a gym. If we look at the cell directly above it, same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4 Pokestops, 5 is a gym. If we look at this one that covers a small part of the Pike, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Pokestops, 8, 9, 2 gyms. So again, between 6 and 19 Pokestops, 2 of them are going to be a gym. If we look here in the center at a much more crowded S2 cell, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So 19 Pokestops, 3 gyms for a total of 18 Pokestops, 3 gyms for a total of 21. And again, 19 to 34, 3 of those are gyms. So as for how you can apply this information, if you are high enough level in Ingress, if you can submit portals in Ingress, and you want to create gyms in Pokemon GO, for example, if you're in a rural area and there's a level 14 cell with only 1 Pokestop in it, if you can submit a portal in that same S2 cell, that portal will force the original Pokestop to become a gym. What we've seen from the research is that the new portal that's converted over doesn't become the gym. Generally, it seems like the oldest portal or the oldest Pokestop might become a gym when it gets converted. Likewise, if you're looking at an S2 cell with 5 Pokestops in it, well, 4 Pokestops in 1 gym, if you add another Ingress portal, when that portal gets ported over and becomes a Pokestop, it'll force another Pokestop in that cell to become a gym, and you'll now have 2 gyms in that cell. Now, next, I want to look at level 17 S2 cells, and level 17 S2 cells determine Pokestop and gym placement in that only 1 gym or 1 Pokestop can be located within a single level 17 S2 cell. So if we look here, if we zoom in on the Pike, you can see the Lighthouse Gym is in its own cell. All the Pokestops have their own cell. Of course, right here at the Tri-Stop, things get a little confusing. It's kind of hard to tell where the Pokestop falls, but it's pretty safe to say that this Pokestop on the right is going to fall into the S2 cell above the one where the gym is. And if I zoom out and kind of look around, you can see that every Pokestop, every gym has its own S2 cell. Some of them are hard to tell because they're right on the border, like here by the Laugh Factory, or this one in the middle here looks like it could be 2 in 1 cell. And one thing we know is that if a Pokestop gets moved for whatever reason, like if someone reports that it's in the wrong location or it's in an inaccessible location, if it gets moved, then it ignores the 1 per level 17 S2 cell limit. So it is very possible to have more than one Pokestop in a level 17 S2 cell. It's just going to be rare, and most likely the reason is because one of those Pokestops was moved from a different location for whatever reason. Niantic thought that was a thing that needed to be done. Now again, as for how you can apply this information, if you're submitting portals in Ingress, look at an S2 cell map, look at a level 17 overlay of the area you're submitting. If there's already a Pokestop in the same S2 cell where you're trying to submit that portal, well, try submitting somewhere else. And then I just want to show you, this is an overlay of level 17 S2 cells over the Ingress map, and you can see in Ingress there are far more portals than there are gyms and Pokestops in Pokemon Go. So this is the same area of the Pike, but you have multiple portals within a lot of these S2 cells. But if you look at these and then you look at the Pokestop map, you can see that every Pokestop, every gym lines up with a portal that already exists in Ingress. Now the last thing I want to look at is research from a Redditor named Tintin Bolton. Great research here. So shout out to Tintin Bolton. And essentially, like, I'll link to this in the description so you can read the full thing, but I'll kind of give you the summary of it. Essentially, what the research shows here is that recently, since November 11th, 100% of non-sponsored location EX raids take place in parks. 100% of non-sponsored EX raids take place in parks. So this is huge for figuring out which gyms to target for EX raids. Now, of course, when I say park, I mean areas that are mapped as parks in OpenStreetMap. And I'll also include a link to this, or you can find the link in the full post here. There's a link to an Overpass Turbo query, and over here you have all the code on the side. You don't have to worry about it at all. Don't worry about the code. Just find your area on the map here on this side. You can search for it. You can scroll for it. This is downtown Long Beach, the area around downtown and the Pike. And what you want to do is just hit run. And what this query is going to do is look at all the tags on OpenStreetMap, and it's going to highlight the areas that are considered parks as far as EX raid eligibility goes. And here's the result. All these blue highlighted areas are considered parks, and any gym within the boundaries of these blue areas could be eligible for an EX raid. Obviously, all three of the known EX raid gyms at the Pike are within this blue area. The Lighthouse here at the tip of the peninsula, Yuri Matey sort of in the middle of it, and then the Giant Horse over by the restaurants and the parking lot there. But for example, this park, Cesar Chavez Park, which is not considered a park as far as tags go, any gym inside that park, of which there are none actually, just Pokestops, but if there was a gym inside that park, it could not have an EX raid because it's not tagged in a way that Niantic or Pokemon Go recognizes it as a park. Same goes for Harvey Milk Park, unfortunately, because there's a gym in Harvey Milk Park that I regularly do raids at. So maybe I'll go into OpenStreetMap and update that. But again, remember, please, if you are mapping things on OpenStreetMap, map responsibly. Don't map things that don't exist just because you want an EX raid gym. So again, Overpass Turbo, very simple query. Just find your area, hit run, and you'll see areas where gyms are eligible for EX raids. Now again, obviously not every gym inside these parks has had an EX raid, so there is probably some other factor contributing, or multiple factors contributing, that we don't know yet or don't understand yet. But this gives you a good place to start if you want to target specific gyms and try to get EX raids or trigger EX raids. Aim for parks, gyms inside these parks. And then lastly, I just want to talk quickly about level 20 S2 cells, because level 20 S2 cells are actually going to determine if a gym is considered inside a park. So this is the Pike, or the peninsula of it, overlaid with level 20 S2 cells. And if I zoom into the edge here, any S2 cell, any level 20 cell that overlaps the park even a little bit is considered part of the park. So if there were a gym that actually fell outside of the park boundaries, and if you see the edge of that gym goes into the ground and it's not inside the park in Pokemon Go, if it's in a level 20 S2 cell that overlaps the park, that gym would actually count as being inside the park and could be eligible for an EX raid, and we've seen that from a lot of the gyms submitted through the research on Tintin Bolton's research. So there it is. Lots of very technical information in today's video. I know a lot of you missed it. So as far as the takeaway goes, if you want to get an EX Raid Pass, you can target gyms within a level 12 S2 cell that did not recently have an EX Raid, or at least didn't have an EX Raid in the wave that just went out. Obviously, aim for gyms that are inside parks. You can use the OpenStreetMap query to find parks near you that are eligible. And then if you have no gyms, you can submit portals in Ingress, and you can use level 17 S2 cells to determine placement for those. And you can look at level 14 S2 cells to determine how many portals or how many Pokestops you need in order for one of those to convert into a gym. So you can aim to submit portals into parks that you find using the query, and make sure those portals are within the same level 14 S2 cell, so that one of those portals gets converted to a gym when they come over to Pokemon Go, which honestly could take months. But if you have nothing, if you're in a rural area and you want to start mapping and contributing to Pokemon Go, there's a good place to start. That was fun and kind of intense. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I will be back very soon with those Singapore videos, I promise. Things just kind of got a little overwhelming over the holidays. As some of you know, if you're following on Twitter or Instagram, my grandmother recently passed away, and she had been dealing with Alzheimer's for the last 20 years of her life. So honestly, we have kind of been saying goodbye to her for the last 15 years or so, as she as the disease progressed, and she lost her memory and eventually stopped talking, and at the end stopped even opening her eyes. So thank you so much to everyone on Twitter, on Instagram, who shared their messages of love and support. I appreciate it. My family appreciates it. I just want everyone to know that we're doing well. Like I said, we were kind of prepared for it for a long time. And then on top of that, there's just so much going on throughout the holidays that I really just kind of lost my momentum. So here it is, starting up again. Videos are back. Singapore. I promise, it's coming. I just want to clarify, that's my grandma on my dad's side. My grandma on my mom's side, my Lola, is doing pretty well. She's living with dementia, so again, we're sort of going through the same thing with her. A lot of days she doesn't remember my name. She sometimes doesn't even remember my mom's name. It just kind of sucks to see people go through that. So I just want to say, I shared this on Twitter, but it's something that a lot of people don't know about. If you shop on Amazon often, you can use smile.amazon.com. It's exactly the same as Amazon, but every time you make a purchase, Amazon donates a small amount to a charity of your choice. So for like the last, I want to say at least 4 or 5 years, I've been using smile.amazon.com and generating donations for Alzheimer's research. So you can choose any charity. There's a ton of them listed there. And if you're buying stuff online, why not have a small portion of that go towards charity? It doesn't cost you anything extra. It's just something that Amazon offers but doesn't really talk about too often. So there it is. If you want to help, if you want to give back, smile.amazon.com. Thank you very much. See you soon.